Hi there, my name is Ariana Gorospe, and this is Heinz 57, the perks of being mixed race. The first perk is I get to call myself a Heinz 57. And back in the 50s, a Heinz 57 was a bunch of Heinz products mixed into one sauce. I am lucky because I can use these two words as a way of saying I'm a bunch of different races mixed into one person. The people responsible for me being like this, of course, are my parents, my mother Lourdes, and my father DeAndre. It's because of my mother that I'm part Mexican, and because of my father, I'm part Filipino, Native American, black, and white. In 1997, they would together have a baby girl, also known as me, and I would grow up to be a second grader who was curious of why she didn't really look like the other kids and didn't necessarily look like she was a part of one race. And at the time, I didn't know what race was. My parents explained to me that I am very mixed, and I was excited about that. And I ended up trying to tell people who didn't want to know, who actually kind of bullied me a bit by saying that they don't believe me. And it hurt, but the perk was I gained patience. I gained the patience so that one day somebody could just ask me if they were curious. And when that day would come, I was a happy person. I was glad to know that people are actually curious about what I was. And I know that sounds a little bit narcissistic, but it is very interesting to me for people to kind of just not see me as one race. And when I did wait for those people, they asked me some pretty vague questions like, what are you? And what are you made up of? And where do you come from? Those are easy questions to answer. One, I'm human. Two, I'm made up of skin and bones and a lot more biological matter. And I come from a hospital in California, specifically in Sacramento. I would answer those questions just like that. Until somebody finally asked the right questions and asked me, what is your race? I would chuckle and say, just one. And when I got through explaining what makes me who I am, they would ask this question: do you have a big family? And yes, I do. In fact, on my mother's side, it's 5 uncles, 2 aunts, 21 first cousins. And on my father's side, it's infinite because nobody knows exactly how much family we have on that side. And there was one last question that I actually asked myself, which is, where do I fit in? And as you can see from the map, there's all these borders that kind of separate them into fine lines. But I belong in between those lines a little bit. So when I asked myself this question, I had to think about it. And I thought about my parents. I just believed that I could just pick a race and be that race for the rest of my life. But that's not true, because my mother was born into her race, and she's only one. My father was born into being mixed race, and they both can't change that. Which means I can't change this about myself. It's who I am. So the answer to this question is, are you ready for it? It's that I don't fit in. In fact, some days I'm a hot-blooded, exotic Latina who wants to go dancing, or a Native American woman who's paying tribute to her ancestors. Maybe even a white rocker chick who wants to be a hippie and travel back in time to see Woodstock when it happened. I'm also a full-time family member whose father and sister are both mixed and maybe from different generations, but know what I'm going through. Another cohort of mine is My boyfriend, he's also mixed race, with just as many races as I have. And we both kind of connected in that way, knowing that we can't change who we are, and we're proud to be who we are. Speaking of being proud to be who we are, my best friend and I have been friends for 10 years. And in retrospect, I realized that we didn't base our friendship off of race at all. In fact, we first talked about being friends over chalk, drawing chalk figures. And it didn't matter whether she was just German and Italian. It just mattered that we were friends. So for those of you watching, I hope you understand that a lot of people around you are mixed these days, and sometimes they might feel like they don't fit in. Maybe you should try and talk to those people because they're actually very interesting people. Thank you for watching.